Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Friday, March 2nd, 2012. There's a lot to get into, so let's get right into the charts here. You're going to see the S&P 500 E-mini futures are trading lower by about 4 points. They are off the lows of the day, so the market has come off the lows of the day. They were trading a little bit lower around 7 a.m. They have come off the lows of the day. Again, what traders need to do is simply watch the U.S. dollar index. The U.S. dollar index is roaring higher this morning. So it's a very, very good move in the dollar. When the dollar is up, the market is down. Markets will deflate as soon as the dollar inflates and trades higher. Once again, keep an eye on the dollar. A lot of times when the dollar is up in the pre-market, it will fall once the bell rings at the New York Stock Exchange around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Watch for the dollar to pull back. That will inflate asset prices across the board. Take a look here at the U.S. dollar index futures, and you'll see it's a really just a soaring move today, up 54 cents. That's a lot of meat and potatoes to the upside. That will bring in asset prices. Once again, a lot of people will view this as negative, but it's not necessarily negative because goods will become cheaper for each individual. Okay, goods that you need, gasoline, oil, food, everything will become cheaper if the dollar is stronger. So while it does inflate stock prices and commodity prices, a weaker dollar, a higher dollar does help bring down the cost of all the goods that you need to survive. So again, it's still I never understand why people get so frustrated when they see a stronger dollar because their asset prices are not going up. So in any case, that's the way it is. Watch for the dollar. If the dollar starts to pull back, you'll start to see things like copper, oil, gold, silver all make a comeback. Okay, and that's what you got to watch for here today. But right now, dollar is stronger, market is weaker, and that's the relationship that we're looking at the moment. All right, let's take a look at gold today. Gold has been in the news after that big plunge. You will see gold trading down. The GLD I'm going to use as a barometer. You will see the GLD is trading at 165.90. Yesterday, the GLD closed at 166.61. However, the day before, gold plunged lower, and it looks like it has some further downside in the cards. Maybe not right away, but I would expect gold to go down a little bit further, especially after that big plunge you had 2 days ago. But this morning, stronger dollar, gold is weaker. Same case can be made for USO or oil. You'll see here oil is trading lower. The USO closed yesterday at 41.75. Today it's trading at 41.35. Spot crude, and that's West Texas light sweet crude. You will see is trading right around 108.07. Yesterday it did have a spike after hours to around the 110 level in electronic trading, but now trading around the 108 level, down about 75 cents on a day. If the dollar starts to fall, you can probably expect oil to catch a bid. That's the kind of the way it works. But oil is extended up here. Probably needs a pullback or some consolidation overall. But either way, the dollar will have a lot to do with that. If the dollar falls, that does put an underlying bid in oil. You could hear all the geopolitical events about Iran, the Middle East, and all of that plays a factor. But the main factor is the dollar. If the dollar is weak, oil will trade higher because it is a real asset class. Also, oil is traded in U.S. dollars. Okay, so very important to remember that. Um, right now, you're going to see oil trading down a little bit, but that could change rather quickly at any moment. All right, let's take a look at a few stocks out there. There's not a lot. I did scour the market this morning to see if there were really any big movers. I'm not seeing many things out here, but I will say I am looking at this Shutterfly. That's, I guess, a photography stock. Do not buy this thing up here. It's gapping up. It looks like they bought some assets from Eastman Kodak. Do not pick up this thing. This thing is overextended, overbought. A ton of resistance around 30 bucks. It traded all the way to 32 in the pre-market. So either way, I'm not saying it's a fade candidate because the gap looks to be somewhat of a strong gap, but it's just too extended here. The stock, I don't think, can sustain these prices at this moment, and there is a lot of resistance around this $32 to $33 level, so I would not be a buyer of Shutterfly up here. Okay, let it base, let it pull back. Maybe after a pullback in a week or so, you could maybe look to buy this thing if the setup is right. But not even I would not be buying this stock here, not even for a scalp today on the long side at the open. There could be a play in there after it pulls back, but nothing I would do with it right now. The other stock I'm looking at is this ASNA. This is a Cena Retail Group. Again, very, very good move this morning. It's up to around 43 bucks. The stock possibly has upside to 45. I'm not really sure. I would not be buying this thing. All I can tell you is if it gets to 45, it could be a fade candidate. It's a very thin name because it does not trade really more than 1 million shares a day. In fact, it rarely even trades 1 million shares a day. But it has traded 1 million in the last couple days. So that tells me somebody knew something. But this stock is a fade candidate if it gets to $45. Okay, maybe it's around 45.25, 45.30, but that would be a fade candidate if it could get up there, and it very possibly could. But I would not be a buyer of this. I would be a seller. Let's see what else we have going forward here. That looks to be really it from what I'm seeing at the moment. You do have some stocks trading higher a little bit and some lower. Last night, I believe the Shanghai index was up decently in Asia. Yeah, that was up about 1.4%. So you can watch the Chinese ADRs today. If the U.S. markets are strong, Chinese ADRs such as Sina Corp should do well. It's already up there. Let's take a look at Baidu. Yeah, Baidu's starting to trade higher. So the Chinese ADRs should do well this morning if the U.S. markets are strong. If the U.S. markets are weak, watch out because these things probably are not going to go very far. So you got to really gauge the market as a whole and see how the market shapes up really after the first couple of hours. It is a Friday. Normally volume will get very, very light around 11:30. Once that happens, the market's going to go into drift mode. We'll have to see exactly how it plays out. We are still close to the Dow 13,000 level, still very close to the NASDAQ 3,000 level. The talking heads in the media will like to get out the party hats for the weekend and, say how these markets got up there. But, again, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. We'll just see how the market trades. And remember, Friday is a light volume session. Alrighty, everybody. I think I've said enough today. I want you all to have a great weekend. I will see you on the charts Monday morning. Take care now.